Hello and welcome. If you've been anywhere near a Padel court lately, you've probably noticed that the sport is absolutely booming. But with that massive explosion in popularity comes an equally massive and honestly sometimes overwhelming market of equipment. So today, we're taking a structured, completely data-driven look at the Padel racket landscape to help you navigate it with total confidence. Whether you're just starting out and hitting your very first bandejas, or you're a seasoned player hunting for that extra edge, we've compiled the absolute best research to guide your next choice. Okay, let's dive into this. Are you playing with the wrong Padel racket? I know, it's a serious question. So many players are literally holding their own game back simply because they bought a racket based on brand hype or just grabbing whatever their favorite pro uses rather than finding what actually fits their game. The reality is, the best Padel racket out there, it doesn't exist. It's entirely subjective. Your perfect match depends heavily on your own personal skill level, your physical conditioning, and your unique playstyle. Here is our player's evolution roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with choosing your weapon, break down shape, core, and balance, and then explore three distinct categories: Masters of Control, the Intermediate Upgrade, and Pro-Level Power. Finally, we'll wrap up with the perfect match to bring it all together. Section 1. Choosing your weapon. The subjective nature of finding the best racket.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean by subjectivity. Let's compare two extremes, because a racket that feels like a comfortable, totally forgiving sedan to one player might feel like a rigid, unforgiving sports car to another. On one side, we have pure control, the Babolat Contact. It's ultra-light at just 340 grams, features a round shape, and uses a soft EVA core. It's literally designed to be gentle and forgiving. On the complete opposite side, pure power. The Head Extreme Pro. It weighs in at a demanding 370 grams, uses a very unforgiving diamond shape, and packs power foam. It's built for these explosive volleys and dominant overheads, but let me tell you, it will punish sloppy swings. The contrast in weight, shape, and materials between these two ends of the spectrum is massive.
Section 2. Shape, core, and balance. The anatomy of your game. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet for racket anatomy, because the shape of the racket dictates both the balance and the sweet spot. First up, the round shape. It has a large centered sweet spot and a low balance near the handle. This means it highly forgives mistakes and is incredibly maneuverable for control. Next, the teardrop. This shape really bridges the gap, offering a medium sweet spot that sits a bit higher, providing a neutral balance for incredible versatility. Finally, the diamond shape. This pushes the sweet spot way up towards the tip and raises the balance point. It demands perfect technique, but if you hit it right, you get explosive ball exit speed.
Section 3. Masters of Control, the baseline for comfort and precision.
If your arm has ever completely complained to you after a long 2-hour session, or if your game relies on defensive lobs and absorbing pace at the net, you absolutely need a control-focused racket. And a huge part of that equation comes down to weight. 340 grams. That is a shockingly low weight, and it belongs to that budget-friendly Babolat Contact we mentioned earlier. What's vital to understand here is that this exceptionally low swing weight is actually its own form of control. Because the racket is so light, the head gets to fast volleys in time and stays super easy to steer deep into a third set, exactly when heavier frames would start wandering and tiring your arm out. Now, if we look at the premium end of control, we find the Wilson Optics V1. Our data shows it's literally the only racket to hit a perfect 10 out of 10 comfort score. Why? Because it features an all-fiberglass face and frame combined with a soft EVA core. This racket is the ultimate arm protector. I mean, the frame just soaks up vibrations before they ever reach your elbow. The trade-off? Well, power is entirely dependent on your own swing. But in return, every block and placement shot lands exactly where you point it, heavily assisted by Wilson's sharp hole technology, which adds some serious bite to your slices.
Section 4. The Intermediate Upgrade. Finding versatility.
So this is the phase where you basically graduated from pure forgiveness. You want to add genuine pace to your bandejas, right? But you definitely don't want to completely lose your defensive safety net. This phase is all about the teardrop transition. When players want versatility, they look to rackets like the Babolat Technical Viper or the Head Delta Pro. These teardrop shapes move the sweet spot slightly higher and often introduce a much firmer carbon face. This is absolutely crucial because it means the racket stops masking your bad technique and actually starts rewarding your good technique. You get real, genuine pace on your overheads while retaining just enough defensive capability to dig out tough shots off the back glass.
Section 5. Let's move to and see how this builds into pro-level power, the explosive weapons of the premier Padel stars.
There's a crucial rule at the absolute top tiers of this sport. Consistency is control. At the pro tier, control doesn't just mean a soft, cushy face. It means absolute, unflinching predictability. Advanced rackets utilize materials like 18K aluminized carbon because its response simply doesn't drift with the temperature. That means the delicate touch you calibrate during a freezing cold morning match, it feels exactly the same during a blistering hot afternoon match.
A prime example of this is the Knox A10 Genius 18K Alum, which is Agustin Tapia's flagship racket. It represents the absolute pinnacle of all-court versatility. It features that temperature-stable 18K aluminized carbon face we just talked about, a dual-spin surface for massive bite on the ball, and an MLD black EVA core. But the real standout feature is the adjustable weight balance system. You can physically shift the mass toward the handle for a defensive setup or load it up top for attacking, making it highly customizable for literally any court situation you find yourself in.
When we look at what the top players are actually using out there on the premier paddle circuit, we see a heavy reliance on these explosive, rigid tools. You have Tapia with his versatile Knox A10, Arturo Coelho utilizing the massive power of the diamond-shaped Head Coelho Pro, Ali Galan swinging the Adidas Metalbone HRD+, and Juan Lebron playing with the highly demanding, high-balance Babolat Viper 3.0. These guys are relying on explosive ball exit speeds which require incredibly stiff cores and, of course, perfect physical conditioning.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is $399. That is the premium price tag of the Wilson Bela V3, Fernando Belasteguin's signature racket. So why does it cost so much? Because you are paying for the absolute finest materials available in commercial padel, specifically a 24K carbon weave. Think about that, 24,000 filaments per strand, resulting in the most precise, responsive surface money can buy. It is fiercely unforgiving, but for an expert, every tiny micro-adjustment in the swing translates directly to the ball.
Section 6. Perfect match. Synthesizing the data.
So the crucial point is, here is your simple 3-step path to cut straight through all that marketing jargon. Step 1. Honestly assess your level. If you're learning or if you struggle with arm pain, avoid those heavy pro models. Step 2. Choose your shape. Round for defensive consistency, teardrop for all-court versatility, diamond for aggressive net play. Step 3. Prioritize comfort or power. If you want comfort, look for fiberglass faces and soft EVA foam. But if you want power, look for firm carbon faces and dense cores. It really is that straightforward.
I want to leave you with one final question to think about. Is your racket holding your game back, or is it time for an upgrade? You now have the knowledge to decode the shapes, the materials, and the weights. So the next time you step onto the court, pay close attention to how your racket reacts. Are you working way too hard for your power, or are you maybe lacking control in your lobs? The perfect tool is out there waiting to elevate your game. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to get out there and test out a new shape or material. You just might find your perfect match.